Audio recording of Pierce Galloway, 8th of October, 1988. Device used Hitachi TRQ. No one there. I'm leaving this tape as an account of myself and my actions. Perhaps as a final will and testament. I've completed the last calibrations on the Bishop 4 and activating it tonight, 10 p.m. GMT. If I succeed, then none of what I'm about to say will matter. If not... But I must prevail. Not only for her sake, but for the sake of the entire world. Ludicrous, he's insane, you might think. Whoever may be listening. No. Context is what is needed. For what I saw, the end of all things. I'm a haunted man. That's why I find myself here in this run-down farmhouse out in the sticks, hiding from the company, from agents of the OWC. Yes. It's like an octopus, hiding in the shadowy depths. Tentacles reaching out, encircling the globe. I've had to be vigilant. Even here in Ireland, they have influence. Where was I? Yes. A summary is in order. It all began with the death of my wife Katie in 1955, while giving birth to my daughter, Melanie. A mixture of grief and joy. Suddenly, my life had changed drastically. I wasn't short on funds, having lived frugally for many years. So left my employ as a telecoms engineer in the public sector, shifting priorities to my newborn. Between fatherly duties, I threw myself into pursuits once put aside. Patent work on transceivers and the like. Most of my inventions were, still are, based on the theories of Nikola Tesla. He was a true visionary. With the successful launch of Sputnik 1 by the Russians, the space race was officially underway, igniting a fervor for exploration. While the majority speculated on who would be first to put a man in orbit, I was reminded of an incident Tesla had experienced, about when he had picked up a series of repetitive clicks, thinking they may have originated from Mars. So, I began trying to replicate his experiment, but with my eye further afield, using an antenna of my own design, perched atop the apartment building we lived in. And over the years, I improved its capabilities, refined it. On many a clear night, Melanie slept in my arms, lulled to slumber by the soothing noise of the cosmos. Eventually, after enough tinkering, a faint signal came through. The signal. A pulsating hum on repeat, distinct from the usual background tones. There was no mistake. It was extraterrestrial in origin. At that point, I had been in contact with some fellows I'd met at a London conference who had taken great interest in my work. There was fierce excitement between us regarding my discovery, and we wondered if communication was possible. Others who specialized in different fields of the sciences would be needed for the project, so we expanded our little circle to 8 in total. Men from around the world with one common goal. Jokingly, we called ourselves the Brain Trust. On the 2nd of June, 1963, that goal came to fruition with the arrival of a shape. The signal from beyond made physical. Its form, I cannot recall even now. That date is forever burned into my memory, and yet the happenings of that day remain a blur. Inconsistencies I can't explain. I'm on my apartment building's roof, ready to switch on the antenna, double-checking calculations. But also, I'm standing in a field staring at the sky, horrified by the sight that the sun had split in two. I'm nervously switching on the antenna, but I'm racing through the streets trying desperately to get home. Some burst of energy. There are other vague recollections I can't fit together, no matter how hard I try. What remains clear to me is the shape's arrival, the death of my Melanie. She was in the building when it collapsed. And that woman, an enigma for many years, a face seen in my nightmares on countless nights, who I now know only as the Infinite Daughter. She was there on that day, appeared as if out of nowhere, preventing me from destroying the antenna. Or was she helping me turn it on? I can't remember. What is certain, what I discovered, is that she is in league with that blasted signal. She must be stopped. I don't age naturally since that day. This malady became apparent to me about 10 years ago. Some aspect of my physical is untethered, possibly at the subatomic, caused by being in close proximity to the shape. Tests fail to give me an explanation. I should be a man in his 60s, but I look and feel like a man in his 40s. One would think it a blessing. But this existence is draining. The years roll by, hollow, empty. My work is the only reprieve. After the incident, I broke from the Brain Trust, telling them I'd have nothing to do with the signal. They tried to persuade me otherwise, of course. With Melanie gone, there was nothing left to tie me here, so I travelled abroad. Europe mostly for many years, until I made my way to America. It was there I was approached by some men from the OWC. They presented themselves as high-minded futurists who were looking for people with my skills. Their pitch didn't interest me, but by then money was tight and a steady paycheck enticing. They were a secretive lot, using unmarked facilities dotted all over the country, many of which I was stationed at, completing one project after another. I paid it no heed. It was challenging work, the money good, though it was not lost on me what I was doing. It was part of some greater whole. Life was steady until Ohio in '86. That's when it all began to unravel, after I met a man named Till Crawford. We became friends of a sort. He had an interest in altered radios called spirit boxes, and held these weekly paranormal meetings. No, that's not important. Suffice to say, I was helping Till improve his design, and we, by sheer accident, discovered the signal. I tried to warn him away from it. He wouldn't listen. So I cut ties. What became of him after, I don't know. With the signal involved, probably disaster. For me, it was an invasion. I hardly slept, barely ate, haunted by the memories. It was more than that. It was a virus infecting my life, pulling me towards something. My work suffered, of course. I took to wandering the facility outside my lab, dark hallways only used by the maintenance staff. It was in an old storage room that I found the schematics, tucked away under some dusty crates. They were decades old, detailing the construction of a large, complex machine designed to house an immense unknown quantity. Many of its parts I recognized, projects completed by me for the company. Stranger still were the encoded messages written neatly all over the pages in a cryptic alphabet. I was like a man possessed, spending weeks poring over the plans, trying to piece it all together. Eventually the company learned of my activities and locked the schematics away, warned me not to deviate from my work. I wasn't going to be dissuaded so easily. I needed to know what I was helping to build, and for who. Trying to unmask the OWC was no easy task. Many of my efforts led to abrupt dead ends. It was their tax records, of all things, routed through many cutouts, that the truth was finally revealed. A list of founders. The Brain Trust. And that wasn't all. Documents, mission statements detailing their singular focus for the study and practical uses of the signal. The projects they had me working on for that machine. It all fell into place. Bastards! They had tricked me. They knew I never wanted anything to do with it again. To think I once considered them colleagues. The cowards even refused to meet with me. I was furious and stole the schematics in retaliation, fully intending to destroy them. I stood there in a field at the dead of night just outside Columbus. The lighter was in my hand, but as I stared upward at the clear sky, gazing at the countless stars, like I used to do with Melanie, something shifted inside. A realization, a question. You see, I'd spent so long running from the signal and all it wrought, but what if I could use it, bend its power to my own ends? The possibilities were endless. I needed time to study the schematics, hard to accomplish with agents of the OWC on my trail. No place was safe for too long, and they finally caught up with me in Arkansas, at a cheap motel I was holed up in. Not before I managed to translate one of the encoded messages. The pen fell from my hand at its revelation. 3 simple words. I'm sorry, Melanie. How does one begin to comprehend? For all the events of my life to occur in such a manner, to lead me there in that room with those schematics, and to uncover such a message. Mysteries wrapped in an enigma. That is what has brought me back here. Back home after my narrow escape. Most of the pages were lost in Arkansas, but there was still enough to continue the research. They fail to find me so far. Still, I can feel them closing in. That's why I must travel back tonight. My first prototype revealed the core function of the machine. It tapped directly into the ether. An oscillating frequency of rapid pulses contained within a rotating magnetic field, stabilizing that invisible force which holds the universe together, concentrated into one energized field. My next step was to harness it. I wrote a program to interpret that field, translate it into an audio frequency. A singular transmission was all that came through the speakers. A mechanical voice, repeating a series of incomplete numbers. Day after day I listened, calibrated, growing more frustrated. Until one night, the pattern broke and the voice spoke my name. Then it said, "The apostate watches," and went dead. I assumed it was referring to me, but more importantly, it was trying to communicate. My next course of action was to build a window, to see. And I saw. Oh yes, I saw. Events from anywhere, everywhere, at any time. After learning to control and direct the frequency, I used it to look upon Melanie. Those precious moments we shared together. And there was more. I could see her maturing, growing into the woman she was meant to be. A life that could have been. But the window, it interrupted my viewings more and more as the weeks went by. It showed me things, dreadful images of what's to come, a corruption in the fabric of reality, horrors beyond my comprehension, too much for my eyes to bear. And at the center of it all, at the end, is a tower, a dark obelisk sitting on a barren earth. A decaying aberration sucking all matter from reality itself. Inside, the infinite daughter, calmly watching over it all. And I beheld the faded, weathered letters proudly displayed on the building. OWC. That's why I must go back to that day, to the source. Stop the arrival and save Melanie. I am certain the same field that allows one to see through time can also allow one to travel through it. If I fail, I only hope that whoever finds this tape will have the courage to bring the company into the light, expose them for what they are. Everything you need is here. My research, notes, recordings. If agents of the OWC find this testimony, take it to your founders. Make them see, like I have. The sun is setting now. Preparations must be made for the task ahead. What I'm about to do, something Tesla once said comes to mind. There is no thing endowed with life, from man who is enslaving the elements to the nimblest creature in all this world that does not sway in its turn. Whenever action is born from force, though it be infinitesimal, the cosmic balance is upset, and the universal motion results.